for this opportunity to glorify this Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam. And even though I am not even, close to glorifying, I cannot glorify the Srimad Bhagavatam in its true essence. I'll try to make an attempt to glorify with my limited understanding and knowledge, and also share reflections, my personal reflections from, Srimad Bhagavatam, what I've received from Srimad Bhagavatam. So with that being said, I will start the Mangala Charan prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayan Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna. Again, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. And as I was saying, this Srimad Bhagavatam is a greatest gift that we have. And today's theme is that we're continuing the glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam and its presence in our lives. So today, let us reflect. I wanted to just take some time to reflect on how we can maybe inspire one another through this heartfelt connections with Srila Prabhupada, his gift of Srimad Bhagavatam. So I was thinking, why this Srimad Bhagavatam was created. And, we read in Canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 3 and text 43, that it says this Bhagavad Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, and accompanied by religion and knowledge, etc. So people who have lost their vision due to this dense darkness of ignorance in this age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. So this Srimad Bhagavatam, it came as a Bhagavatam in our lives after Lord Krishna left and to his own personal abode. And then this, of course, is the literary incarnation of the Lord. And in Kali Yuga, everyone is born in this darkest ignorance, and this Purana is the light or the sun in our lives. So just wanted to take some time to reconnect with Srila Prabhupada's gift to us. He is the person Bhagavata who brought this in, the sun in our world. He brought the sun in our world by his endless nights, translating this literature so that people in Kali Yuga with this, this Manda Buddhi can understand in a very simple language He could have just stayed in Vrindavan and passed his time there very peacefully, but he took so much effort. And why did he do this? Because he had so much compassion in his heart for us. He was patient, and of course, he wanted to follow the instructions of his spiritual master, but it wasn't just following instructions at the say of like, okay, I'm going to follow my instructions of the Guru Maharaj. I'm going to try. If I fail, then, at least I tried. It's not that way. He had perseverance. He went through 2 heart attacks on this Jaladuta um, at the age of, of about 70 years old. And this was without any medical assistance. He had no medical assistance, but still he survived. He just has Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita with him, right? And he would stay up and sleep for, when he was here even, he would stay up and sleep for only just 2 hours, translating this Srimad Bhagavatam. And initially, he used to type. I mean, at that age, the typewriter, at least now we have these keyboards that are so much easier to type. But at that age, in those times, there was a typewriter where it's like, it makes so much noise and it's not easy to type on that. And even that, it got stolen from him, and he didn't stop there. He didn't just stay there and say, okay, now I can't do anything. I don't have any way to do this, right? He found another way. He took it in a positive light and he got a dictaphone. And then it was even easier. Of course, he always, saw everything in a positive light and he kept his perseverance. He was perseverance. It was just, phenomenal. And he would, speak in the dictaphone and he would translate. Of course, it was easier than the typing that he had to do on the typewriter, but he still kept going, even though his health was just always failing, And with his translations, if you've read Srimad Bhagavatam, I'm sure everyone has read Srimad Bhagavatam here. But you can see that we don't have to go through any different Vedas or any Puranas. He has given us the essence of everything. All the Puranas, all the different Vedas, everything is in this, so that we don't have to personally use our energy to go and find different references from other places. He knew that we are so lazy in Kali Yuga that we're not going to have time. And if we can't, reconcile something, we're just going to stop. So he put everything in this one book. And so that we don't have to go in and check in different, places due to our limitations, our limited time that we have. We don't have energy, all these different distractions that we have. So, Srila Prabhupada's statement, it really, helps me, because of course, when you understand Srila Prabhupada, this person Bhagavata, then you want to understand him more. And he says this, that, if you want to know me, then read my books. So he used to say that even, he used to read his own books. And why was that? Because he stated that, he writes his books every day, but even when he reads it, he also learns something new. So that was just like phenomenal when I read this and heard this. I was like, why is that? So then his reason was so beautiful that he said that these books are not his books. He he says that he may, superficially think that he's writing, or, we can see that he's writing, but really, he says that Krishna comes personally and he dictates to him what to write. And he just simply takes this dictation from Krishna and he writes these books. So therefore, even, he said that when I read them, I also learn something. And, you know, with all that, I can just imagine the potency that these books have, especially when we read this analytically and with scrutinizingly, right? With complete attention. We cannot just read for the sake of it. We have to really be present when we're reading these books. You know, and I was just thinking, like, when was this last time that we just really paused and we thought, this book in my hand, the Srimad Bhagavatam in my hand, is is the Srila Prabhupada's heart. We should really feel this gratitude towards him, right? Because we're so fortunate to have this. When you can see that 99% of the people, even in your own circles, when you see, they have no idea of this knowledge. They're so engulfed with distractions and sense gratifications that even when you try to tell them, sometimes they just don't even understand why is this important. And the Srimad Bhagavatam is very pure. It is considered Amala Purana. And this means that, Amala means spotless. And this is the spotless Purana, which means spotless scripture. And it means that it is completely free from all the impurities of material world. Because if anyone has read, at least I've not read personally any Vedas, but I've heard a lot about them, right? And anyone who's read them, of course, have tried a lot of different things that they're all about karma kandi, right? Karma kand, where you perform something and you get something in return. So it's like a little business kind of transactional thing, right? At least it doesn't mean that it's wrong. For some people, it is a way to gradually come up to this level, because it purifies, your existence. So I'm not saying that is wrong, but at least this Srimad Bhagavatam is very pure. And it does not deal with like the other Vedas, like deal with dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, those material activities. But this is the only narration. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the only narration in which the transcendental like nature of the Supreme Lord Krishna is, and of course the pastimes of his devotees, they're fully described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So just wanted to share my reflection about Srila Prabhupada's, that, and in my learning from him, that yes, we cannot really imitate the such exalted devotees of the Lord, but at least how we should be very sincere in following the instructions of our Guru Maharaj. Some of us, we may not have the direct Vapu connection, but at least still by just listening to our Guru Maharaj, there are instructions in the lectures of the Guru Maharaj. So, getting that association, maybe even, making sure that you get time to, visit and listen in person when Guru Maharaj is here, and then try to, follow the instructions with determination and perseverance. We not always things will work the way that we want. Just like Prabhupada, he didn't just stop when something went wrong. He still persevered and kept going with determination. So with patience and perseverance, we should follow these instructions, and with determination, and we should really rely on the mercy of Guru and Gauranga. Eventually, this will help us come out of all of our blockages, and distractions. And then, just a couple of experiences I just wanted to share next is that, there have been times in my life, and of course, I'm sure everyone can attest to this too, that, when we're so confused, we're so bewildered, we're just stuck on something, and we can't come out of it for some whatever reason, even though knowing all these things. And then you just, touch Srimad Bhagavatam and just open any random like pages, and it will reciprocate with you. The Lord is giving you the answer because he knows you as Chaitya Guru in your heart, that what your confusion, what your blockage is, and he will answer from just asking Srimad Bhagavatam. It answers and it grows with us. And what I've noticed is that every year my reading has been different. And what I've noticed that it does slowly but gradually, it does grow. We grow with it, and the Bhagavatam also grows with us. In the beginning, I may be just reading just to get some knowledge, or something curious about it. Everyone talks about it, so let me see what's in here, and yes, you get some solace in reading, in the beginning and all these things, but there's no the special true connection or with it. There's no special feelings towards it. You're just reading to get something, you like it, you feel solace, but that's it. You don't have a relationship. And then as you read more and more, in this association of devotees, it's very important that you read with association in the association of devotees, because then you can discuss, the different takeaways, and that's how it grows with us. When we read alone, we kind of just read and close it, and we may not, really connect to it to the extent. And we may not even understand it for whatever reason. We think everything from our intelligence, and we start doing that. We even think we put our brain and in our thoughts in what Srila Prabhupada is writing, which is not right. So reading with devotees who have realized knowledge, hearing from them, it really, brings out the real true essence of this message that Srila Prabhupada is trying to give. And of course, sometimes when we read, when I used to read and I wouldn't be able to read, sometimes you'd feel that you're missing something. And at least you start hearing it, right? Because sometimes there's just, Kali Yuga, things happen, there is distractions, we kind of get pulled into different directions, and we may not have the chance to read on a specific day. And at that time, at least, you can go through and touch Srimad Bhagavatam and open and read one text, even whatever time you have, or at least hear it. So this is what what really gives you the strength to keep going. I just wanted to share this little experience. And next, I wanted to talk about some of the pastimes that I take with me or think about. There are multiple, unlimited pastimes that I have that are my favorite. Like, Brahma's prayers, Rudrasura's prayers, King Chitraketu's prayers, or the pastimes, Samudra Manthan Lila, and the most beautiful and intimate pastimes of the gopis and Krishna, and of course the childhood pastimes of Krishna. There's so much of learning in all of these pastimes. There's so much learning. It's, you can't put this in half an hour or even 1 hour or a couple of days. It takes lifetimes for some, you can't really go through it fully in such a short lifespan that we have. But there is, three pastimes that I really wanted to just focus on today. The ones that were like, Queen Kunti's prayers, the first prayers in Canto 1, and then Dhruva Maharaj's pastimes, and then Gajendra's pastimes. Specifically, I wanted to really, discuss today and my learnings from them. So Queen Kunti's prayers, right? We go back to Canto 1, chapter 8 and verse 25. She had said that, I wish that all of the calamities would happen again and again. And why? Because she's saying to Krishna that because of these calamities, when they happen, she's able to see Krishna again and again and again. So when she sees Krishna again and again, what is the difference, or why is it important? Because she says that, this is the only way that we will no longer see the repeated births and deaths. So in the beginning, I was always wondering, why does someone not want to see a birth? Like we always think that birth is such a beautiful, such a, precious feeling, and why don't someone want to take birth again and again? We understand the death, right? Death, I was like, okay, yeah, I don't want to see death, and that's understandable. But when I was reading, at this, and this was before, not just during Queen Kunti's prayers, but before, when I read Srimad or Bhagavad Gita, with her grace, Sandhya Mataji. This is where I first read the full Bhagavad Gita with her, and we come in this part of where it talks about the real problems in this world. Prabhupada states are not problems of hunger or money or any of that stuff, but it's the Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. And I was like, it really opened my eyes. So I was still, confused, like why? And she explained that, this I was thinking, why is the birth a problem? And then, going through the details, like we think from our perspective, but the child itself, him or herself, this child is in such a bad state. It's so painful for this child. They stay and survive in this mucus-filled membrane and, with blood of their mother, an upside down position in such a small space, praying to the Lord. At one point, this child prays to the Lord saying, "Hey, Krishna, please take me out. I will promise you that I will pray to you when I get out so that I don't have to go in this position again ever." Um, and you know, of course, when they come out, they forget all this. And with the association of Maya and the three modes, they forget all this until a devotee comes in their life again and prayers, right? Where they can start their journey again. So just the takeaway from this part is that, the suffering that anyone has is actually um, only the fortunate ones have the sufferings because Krishna is giving them this chance to come to Krishna. Yes, in the beginning it is with mixed devotion. It's called the mixed devotion because you have something, you're going because of this trust that you have. As one of the in Bhagavad Gita we learned that that's one of the type of people who go to Krishna. And this Queen Kunti's humility really shows that the suffering can deepen our devotion because when everything is just going fine, then we don't, we tend to just feel it's okay. I am doing it's so dry. But then when we have the suffering, we really include our feelings in worshiping and doing devotional service and everything. So it really can deepen our devotion. This is my learning, small learning from this past time. And the second, I know we have less time, but as I said, there's just so much in Srimad Bhagavatam. But the second part that I wanted to talk about is through Maharaj's pastime, you know, and what my learnings were from this. So, Dhruv Maharaj was so angry and upset about his stepmother not letting him sit on the father's lap. And he was told that if he wants to sit on the father's lap, then he has to be born out of the womb of Suruchi. And with so much determination then, when he went to his mother Suniti, she said, just go to the forest and, and keep in mind, this is a 5-year-old child. Go to the forest and worship Vishnu, that you can get this, this kingdom and kingdom better than or greater than he wanted this kingdom greater than his grandfather, right? So he, with so much determination, he performed this tapasya. And he came to a point where it's like he didn't even eat anything. He was just, surviving on the air, like little 5-year-old. We get hangry if we don't even eat sometimes, right? So he's like completely focused and determined. So when he saw Lord in front of his eyes, then, he was thinking, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Why was I wanting this? I was asking for some broken pieces of glasses. And what this taught me is that Krishna will give us what we want if it's right for us, but he will purify us completely before that our attachment to that object will no longer be even there when we get it, or even if it is there, he will frustrate it to an extent that we would think, why did I even ask for this thing? So it teaches, Dhruv Maharaj also teaches us perseverance and determination in this path of bhakti. Of course, he had the mixed devotion. Another learning is like he had the mixed devotion, right? So a lot of us may come with the mixed devotion in the beginning, but ultimately, by following this process, he listened to his guru, Narad Muni. And when we follow these instructions and become, we're under the shelter of the guru, then we can reach also that pure bhakti stage. when we keep this perseverance and determination under the guidance of a bona fide guru. So that was my learning with that pastime. And then Gajendra's pastimes. Gajendra was so opulent. He had everything. He was enjoying and having so many friends and family. He was this, in materialistic life, you can say that that's like a perfect thing that we want, right? And then all of a sudden, without any kind of notice, he got caught by this crocodile. And no one could help him. He had so many friends and family and all these things, but they stayed there for some days, and they tried to pray and help, but they couldn't do anything really. So eventually, even after some days, they all left, and then he was finally just left alone. Alone in this situation with this crocodile, not letting him go. And he finally remembered the Lord and prayed to the Lord when the Lord personally came and delivered him. So what this teaches me, the pastime of Gajendra, is that how we should really have our relationship with the Lord as the most important, because all these other relationships that we have are given to us by the Lord, and they're entrusted to us by the Lord. Yesterday Subala Prabhu was giving this class, right? In the lecture, he talked about DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. But all of that stuff is not going to work, he said, unless there is a vision of connecting the foundation with the Lord, because everyone is different. We 400 millions of species that we have of human life, there's 400 million different, or 400,000 different species of humans. And how can we're so different. Every one of us is very different. There's going to be conflicts. So we have to have this ground, of keeping Krishna in the center. And that is how we can stay happy in this way. Material opulence like Gajendra, it will be there. It'll give us some temporary happiness and feeling of like, oh, I have something, but it's not going to give us that solace of the soul. And it's not permanent. So we, because our body is temporary, the happiness that we associate with that are bodily, happiness, they're also temporary. So we should go through our permanent happiness, which is this soul's happiness. And when we go through this, then we can really stay in this. If not happening, it doesn't mean the problems are going to stop. The world's problems, Krishna said, this is Dukhalem Ashashvatam. This world is full of miseries and it's temporary. So they're going to be there, but at least, I've heard before that we're going in this rocky road of this life, right? But when we have the shelter of Guru, and we're going through this road, then at least it's like we're riding in this Mercedes Benz where the shocks are very we don't feel those bumps and rocks. Unless we were not doing this, then we would be like in rickshaw, where we feel every bump and every rock in our life. So we should have that feeling of Mercedes where we don't feel those shocks of the life when it gives it to us. So with this, just wanted to say that at first when I started reading Srimad Bhagavatam, it was just for knowledge, like I was reading for some kind of, okay, as I had mentioned before, right? There was no deep connection, but now I read for nourishment. And by regular hearing and chanting of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it really purifies our existence, and it builds this firm devotion, where we get the conviction, right, to follow this path. Because until then, we're always going to be, I'll do it today, I won't do it tomorrow, I'll do it today. We have this ups and downs, but at least with reading Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of devotees, we really get this conviction that this is the only path, and we get a realization, right? So this faith, if you see, it kind of matures over time. So first, it's just we're getting the information, and then continuing this, we start appreciating Srimad Bhagavatam. When we start appreciating Srimad Bhagavatam over some time longer, we start getting realizations of what the pastimes are and what Prabhupada is trying teach us. And then we come to this level of intimacy, which means like, we're really having this deep connection with Srimad Bhagavatam, in not just superficial way, but really, forever gratitude, that we have then for Srimad Bhagavatam with a deep connection and feelings. So, sometimes we get this feeling that we're not reading enough. But I do want to also, say that over time I've learned that it is not the quantity of how much we read, but we really should focus on the quality, just reading even a single verse. But when you read the single verse, it's not just it may take you 5 minutes only or less, but really have your heart present when you're reading this. And touching the Srimad Bhagavatam to our head. And then, just keeping the Srimad Bhagavatam open in our house and treat it like as a guest, we can, Siddhartha Prabhu always says you can even, when he goes for book distribution, I went with him like once or twice. He would say that, if you just dust the set, you're expressing that, care to Srimad Bhagavatam. So just like the drop of nectar can even, save one's life. Even this one verse, if we read with this faith, can destroy and the anarthas and transform our heart. So, I just want to conclude saying that we must all have a Srimad Bhagavatam set in our home, and to invite this auspiciousness. And, it says that all the blessings of all the devotees, all the demigods, everything is in this Srimad Bhagavatam. So when we have this in our home, we are invoking all those blessings for us from all of these personalities. So that is a great fortune that we can have. So I just wanted to end with this, that, let us not only keep this treasure, but we should live it, love it, and share it. This also goes for my personal, understanding. So, I'd love to just hear now if anyone has any kind of sharings or reflections, so we can end our call. Sorry, I went a little over, but as I said, there's just so much to speak on this. So Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Manjari Lila. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Excellent class, really. Remember our reading together, Prabhupada Lila Amrita, after Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
Everything goes to your heart straight away. And I really appreciate that quality of yours. And your mom was even having tears for Srila Prabhupada so often. I can remember that.
Mhm.
Yes, unless we remember Srila Prabhupada's, even last week, Maharaj was showing that picture of the room in which he was living in New York, Dr. Mishra's guest, and there was no bath attached. He had to go into the other person's room to use the bathroom. And he had to walk so much distance to be able to cook and do the boga offering. And how much he suffered, raising the money for paper and printer in Delhi in that hot weather, and how his health was. In spite of all that, what a success his life was. Everything goes to the glory of Krishna Bhakti and Srimad Bhagavatam. I mean, only when we remember the Acharya very deeply, this what we have in hand, and how much we should be, as you said, be in the present and value it. Thank you very much. It was a very nice class. Thank you. Hare
First,
Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for sharing your realization. Okay, if anyone,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Rosanna Mataji.
I was going to say, is set the mood very wonderfully by talking about Srila Prabhupada and how can we, at least in our lives,
Mm.
how can we talk about glories of Srimad Bhagavatam without speaking about him? So I thought that was, you set the mood right and set our consciousness and you prepared us. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. All praise to Srila Prabhupada. Okay, well, thank you so much for being here, everyone. Pancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavendra ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you so much,
Manjari,
everyone. Hare
wonderful class.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.